Yeah, and Emily summed it up like so.
It is just chef's kiss.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Mix, match, more happy with Gain.
National peacekeeping force into Gaza. It seems as though the Israelis are not happy about that. The U.S. wasn't head over heels. I don't know how it was possible for us to buy Gaza, but it made everyone think. And everyone thought, uh-oh, we gotta really come up with something.
Yeah, Brian, listen, President Trump's plan, I think, is actually still the best logical plan because what he...
You mean the U.S. takes over Gaza?
Well, but here's what he said first. He said that first you need to have the Gaza population given the opportunity to leave Gaza. Now, I have to say, Brian, it's the only population in the world that when there's a war going on, right, and it's uninhabitable. Witkoff went in person, he came back and he reported 10 to 15 years to rebuild Gaza, right? So the Gaza population are the only population in the world who are demanded that they have to stay in this war zone. And you asked the reason why. It's so that they are political pawns. It's so that the Israeli-Palestinian conflict should fester forever, that there should never actually be a peaceful resolution. As long as you keep people in this uninhabitable war zone, you're keeping a population who is propagandized to hate Jews and to continue to, participate in terror activity. So President Trump says, no, hey, let's think out of the box. Let's allow these people, these civilians, to get out of this war zone. I mean, it's actually the most humanitarian step that anyone can take. So you allow the Gazans to leave, right? Then he says that Israel should take care of the security situation, and we're talking about demolishing the whatever is left right now in Gaza. Again, Witkoff has also spoken about all of the bombs and all of the tunnels and all the terror infrastructure that poses threats to any civilians who want to live there. So you got to clear all of that out. And then President Trump says maybe in a third phase, when all of that is done, the U.S. would participate in a beneficiary way in this gorgeous coastal enclave that Gaza could be.
I know. It's got people thinking anyway. Lastly, Adam Bowler, who's in charge of hostage rescues, met with Hamas officials, and it looks like Ron Dermer and others in the Netanyahu administration are upset by this because they said he kind of did it on his own, although it looks like Catherine Leavitt said he did it with the permission of President Trump. How is that playing inside Israel?
What Adam Bowler told us himself is that he got a phone call from Ron Dermer, and it seems that Ron Dermer has expressed some Israeli hesitation about the United States having direct talks with Hamas. Now, what I want to remind our audience is that before the Trump administration was having direct talks with Hamas, it was Qatar and Egypt that were acting as so-called intermediaries, and they have had this, for 16 months they've been the intermediaries, and for a long, long time in that 16-month period, there were periods where there was complete stall. There was no movement forward. Yep. We didn't get hostages out, right? The Hamas was still in Gaza, running Gaza. So, you know what, President Trump, he might be interested in having his own people have direct talks, right? Nobody is fooled by Hamas. Adam Bowler said that. He understands who Hamas is. And I think that everyone needs to give the Trump administration a chance to negotiate.
Would the Israelis be upset to a degree if we just walk out with the American and they have theirs left behind, including the bodies of their citizens?
Brian, President Trump, we saw this very emotional moment where the freed hostages were in the White House last week, and he listened to their stories, and they were telling him that the only reason that they were freed was because of President Trump. And President Trump has said over and again that he's dedicated to getting all the hostages released. So I just don't think that that's what's going to happen. I don't think the American plan is that we get our Americans out and then we
Yeah, I think we're definitely going to be in, but I think Netanyahu knows America, this administration for 4 years has his back. And I think also Iran knows it. Houthi rebels know it. Hezbollah knows it. And Hamas knows it. And now they have the weapons that were being held back by Joe Biden. So it's their turn to get aggressive. Ellie, great to see you in person 2 days in a row.
Yes,
right.
Brian.
I appreciate it. Ellie Cohanen, great to see you.
Thank you so much for having me.
When we come back, we'll take your calls. Bottom of the hour, Joe Piscopo. You'll listen to the Brian Kilmeade Show.
It's Brian Kilmeade.
This is WHIO's Brian Kilmeade. Dayton's News and Talk is WHIO.
Must qualify for enrollment. Results may vary.
Attention. Have you racked up $10,000 or more in credit card debt?
Are you barely getting by making minimum payments? With credit card debt reaching all-time highs, National Debt Relief is notifying consumers about significant debt relief options currently being made available to help those with overwhelming credit card debt. These options may reduce a large portion of credit card debt for those who qualify. You don't need to declare bankruptcy or take out a consolidation loan, and you may only have to pay back a fraction of what you owe, even if you have bad credit. National Debt Relief has already reduced the credit card debt for more than 550,000 consumers, so don't wait. If you owe $10,000, $20,000, or even $100,000 in credit card debt, you can now take advantage of this financial debt relief as the cost of living continues to skyrocket. To check what debt reduction you may qualify for, call 800-481-4455. 800-481-4455. That's 800-481-4455.
I had the worst dream last night. You were in a car crash, and the kids and I were on our own. We had to move out of the house because I couldn't afford it anymore.
That's awful, hon.
My brother got life insurance from Ethos, and it only took 10 minutes. And he got $2 million in coverage for around $2 a day. It's all online. No medical exam. He just answered a few health questions right from his house.
Ethos, here we come.
Visit ethos.com/news. That's ethos.com/news.
Sample rate is a 10-year term life policy for 35-year-old healthy, non-smoking male. Billed monthly.
At Uline, they know going the extra mile takes hard work. For companies pushing to go further, Uline will go the distance with you. 24/7, they answer the phone to get you the shipping and industrial supplies you need. Business can move fast. Unexpected large orders, adverse weather, new safety guidelines, and changing economic trends. Uline works hard keeping 41,000 items ready to ship, minimizing detours on your way to the extra mile. Visit uline.com.
Now from the WHIO News Center, here are the three big things that you need to know. Another sunny day, breezy, with highs in the low 70s today. New video capturing the moments a police officer was injured during a weekend early St. Patrick's Day party near the UD campus. And there are new fears over a potential recession as President Trump's tariffs are causing more uncertainty. Full details on these stories and more. Our next scheduled newscast at 10:30. I'm Brittany Otto, WHIO Continuing News.
For This Week in History, I'm Ron Otto. March 9th, 1959, Barbie makes her debut at the American Toy Fair in New York and will go on to sell over 1 billion units worldwide. March 10th, 1940, Chuck Norris is born in Ryan, Oklahoma.
Because that's where the Rangers gonna be.
March 10th, 1876, Alexander Graham Bell tells his assistant Thomas Watson, "Come here, I want to see you," through his new invention, the telephone. March 15th, 44 BC, the Ides of March. Julius Caesar is stabbed to death by Brutus, Cassius, and several other senators in Rome.
Et tu?
This is a Consumer Warrior Clark Howard Minute.
So much conversation about crypto. I'm asked a lot about it. A lot of people get upset with me that I'm so cautious about you being involved with crypto. And it is still a Wild West kind of thing. You may have heard, if you're into crypto, that Bybit got hit by hackers and $1.5 billion of its customers' money that was stored with Bybit is now lost in space. There are rumors that the money was stolen by North Korean hackers. Who knows exactly where that money's gone? The problem is, for you as a consumer, you have money on a crypto exchange, you feel like it's going to be safe. It's not necessarily safe from a hacker, and there's no FDIC insurance.
Clark is WHIO's Consumer Warrior, and you can hear him during Miami Valley's Morning News on WHIO. The WHIO call letter still means something in the Miami Valley. The original news legends, Lou M., Don Wayne, Jim Baldridge, Gil Whitney. We are standing on the giants of Dayton radio, and we take their legacy seriously. Nothing is as good as the best local news possible, serving you in your hometown. It's important to us. WHIO was and is the #1 news station in the region. You're listening to the legendary WHIO. Depend on it.
If you love to travel, Capital One has a rewards credit card that's perfect for you. With the Capital One Venture X card, you earn unlimited double miles on everything you buy. Plus, you get premium benefits at a collection of luxury hotels when you book on Capital One Travel. And with Venture X, you get access to over 1,000 airport lounges worldwide. Open up a world of travel possibilities with the Capital One Venture X card. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. Lounge access is subject to change. See CapitalOne.com for details.
A bit breezy out there this Tuesday afternoon, sunshine and highs in the 70s. I'm Storm Center 7 meteorologist Ryan Morando.
And I'm Brittany Otto in the WHIO News Center. It's 55 degrees in Dayton at 1027 on 1290 and 95.7 WHIO.
That makes you think. This is the Brian Kilmeade Show.
So I think that would be a very good signal to have the presidents together signing this deal. It's a really good deal, importantly for the American people, Carly, as well as the Ukrainian people. It's a way for the American taxpayer to recoup some of their investment in Ukraine, hundreds of billions of dollars over the last 3 years, and to provide us with materials that Ukraine has, in very large quantities.
So that's just it. And there'll be this is what's going to come out of the meetings that are taking place right now in Saudi Arabia. They're going to have a minerals deal, but that's not going to be the biggest deal. They're going to say, these are the confidence measures. We're going to leave. They're going to tell us openly where they're going to agree on confidence measures that Russia and Ukraine would do. For example, no flights, no drones, no energy targeting. Okay? Something with the Black Sea. Some areas, incremental or major, in which to show that they sincerely want to de-escalate this war, even though they're not going to stop on a dime. But I also think it's important to point out that it's the Russians. They've said nothing but being hardliners, and they've had private conversations between Vladimir Putin and Trump. Trump's optimistic he can get something. I'm optimistic Trump is right, but I don't have any faith in Vladimir Putin. Listen to the Lithuanian defense minister, what he said to our own Lucas Tomlinson, Cut 29.
Diplomacy in general is really a very important tool whenever we talk about international agreements, but all the sides need to be willing. So far, the willingness of Russia to stop their war of invasion, their war of aggression, has not been visible. If it happens, then, well, we'll see. In my opinion, the only efficient diplomacy with Russia is like, was it Al Capone that said that the only good negotiations is when you have a gun on the table? So that's probably the kind of diplomacy that would work with Russia.
I 100% agree. We'll see what happens. They have to have no other option. And my fear is if they don't agree to international troops, in 4 more years, we're going to be right back here. Wait for Trump to get out, whatever happens, and they'll just find an opening and go. And if they get a great deal and get all this land with all this rare earth, China's going to say, yeah, it was a tough 3 years. But in the end, I'll take Taiwan, put up with some international consternation. But the rest of the world needs our products. They need our economy. They'll be back. We don't need anything from Russia. They don't make anything that we want. They got oil and gas. They're not even good at pumping it. They can't even farm. They lost 1 million people roughly to a brain drain because people say, with this country at war, with the mass drafting of eligible people, I'm not staying here. Good luck with that.
Live from the WHIO News Center, this is Miami Valley's News at 10:30. Our top story, fear of recession causing some problems on Wall Street.
We are continuing our spring stretch. I'm Storm Center 7 meteorologist Ryan Morando. I'm tracking the next big chance of possibly severe weather in the Storm Center 7 forecast coming up.
Take a look at 75, 76, 75, all looking good. I'm Chris Hartley, WHIO Triple Team Traffic.
These stories and more coming up. I'm Brittany Otto, WHIO News Time, exactly 10:30.
WHIO, Dayton, Springfield. Celebrating our 90th year as the Miami Valley's leading news station. Weather, traffic, and breaking news starts now.
It is our top story, a massive sell-off yesterday on Wall Street. It happened after widespread fear that President Trump will lead the U.S. into a recession, but he doesn't think that will come to that. Fox's Jackie Heinrich.
It followed last week's Wall Street volatility after 25% tariffs on Mexico and Canada were greenlit, then partially paused for another month. Ontario responded with a 25% surcharge on electricity exports. So far, the president has dismissed concerns from CEOs. Meanwhile, Beijing implemented retaliatory tariffs on U.S. farm products.
Republicans holding out some hope that things will be better under Canada's new prime minister. Democrats accusing the president of being apathetic. In Miami County, no students were on a Piqua City school bus that crashed yesterday morning. An SUV collided with the front end of that bus at Ash and Spring Streets.
Piqua police told us the bus driver was at fault. Medics took the SUV driver to the hospital. They are expected to be okay.
That's News Center 7's Letitia Perry. A Moraine man in jail today after cops went to his home looking for drugs and found a lot more. Officers found John Adams hiding inside a home on Pinnacle Road Friday afternoon, arrested him on several outstanding warrants. Investigators also discovered stolen guns and vehicles on the property. Well, the company behind Big Boy Restaurant Group opening 2 new restaurants in the Cincinnati area, both at former Big Boy locations.
Dolly's Burgers and Shakes is now open in Blue Ash, and another location opens Tuesday in Anderson Township. The company wanted to name the locations after Big Boy, but Frisch's blocked it, claiming it infringes on its territory and branding.
That's WHIO's Ron Otto.
This is WHIO Continuing News.
2 Greene County wrestlers taking titles of the State Athletic Association Wrestling Championship over the weekend.
Legacy Christian Academy's Nathan Adesano won the Division III championship at 132 pounds, his second state title. And Bellbrook High's Jada Weiss won in overtime, beating Natalie Carlisle of Lebanon. She won the match with 5 seconds left in the extra period.
That's WHIO's Jason Michaels. And with the Miami Valley's most accurate and dependable forecast, here's Storm Center 7 meteorologist Ryan Mirando.
A bit breezy on this Tuesday with the wind out of the south. That'll push temperatures into the low 70s this afternoon with a nice amount of sunshine, perhaps a few high thin cirrus clouds. For your day tomorrow, your Wednesday, we start with temperatures in the 40s, pretty similar to today. A mix of sun and clouds, still warm though with highs in the upper 60s.
The live Doppler 7 radar is clear, 53 in Springfield, 55 in downtown Dayton. Our next scheduled news in less than 15 minutes and immediately when it breaks. I'm Brittany Otto on 1290 and 95.7 WHIO, Dayton's News and Talk. Depend on it.
This is the Miami Valley's home for Fox News, the most powerful name in news. WHIO. This is a Consumer Warrior Clark Howard Minute.
Okay, there's a weird thing I got to share with you. You know how when you pull a credit card out of your wallet, it'll have a number on it. Well, do you know that next time you get a renewal of your card, it may not have any numbers on it at all? And the reason is that credit card companies are trying to stamp out so much fraud. And there are now electronically embedded numbers inside a card, and that's enough. On your statement, stuff you have from your credit card company will have your actual number available to you, but more and more you're going to find that the number you're going to be using will be tokenized, kind of like what happens if you use Apple Pay or Google Wallet, where it generates a randomized number every time you use that particular card. That's the system we're going to for all credit card transactions.
Clark is WHIO's Consumer Warrior, and you can hear him during Miami Valley's Morning News on WHIO.
Hey, it's Todd from the Evening Edge on WHIO Radio. I know it's many months away, but this summer, WHIO Radio is celebrating Independence Day with the city of Beaver Creek. It'll be a terrific patriotic day with a parade, family fun festivities, and a spectacular fireworks display. This event is part of the WHIO Radio 90th Anniversary Hometown Celebration, and the city of Beaver Creek is looking for additional sponsors to partner with. Thousands of residents will be there celebrating Independence Day, and if you're a local business and would like to be part of this patriotic event, please visit beavercreekohio.gov/sponsorships for details, or call the City of Beaver Creek Parks, Recreation, and Culture Division at 937-427-5514. That's 937-427-5514. And celebrate Independence Day with WHIO Radio and the City of Beaver Creek.
If news breaks, we break in anytime. Now, back to America's most powerful talk lineup. This is WHIO.
Hear it all on the Brian Kilmeade Show.
Hey, Stevie, what the hell are we beating around the bush for? This is 1982. Let's get right to the point, huh? Here, take it from the tops. Swing it, Stevie, with a bounce, baby. You are black. I am white. Life's an Eskimo pie. Let's take a bite. That was groovy thinking. Lincoln, when you set them free. We all know cats are the same, ain't to Mexico. Good, bad guys and chicks.
I am dark and you are light.
You are blind as a bat. I have sight. Side by side, you are my amigo. Negro, let's not fight.
All right, there's that guy with the remarkably talented, diverse Joe Piscopo, the author of Average Joe, the memoirs of a blue-collar entertainer, and that was just one of the funny excerpts from his years at SNL. Joe, welcome back. Congratulations on the book and your career.
Thank you, Brian. So I call with great respect, my friend. I can't believe you're doing 3 beautiful hours on television and running on the radio, man. 300 stations around the country. Hardest working man in show business, ladies and gentlemen. Brian Kilmeade.
But you are actually in show business. You can do everything. I mean, stand up, act, you can do impressions, and you can sing, and you do this every morning.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's so true. You know what? I just got back from Kenosha, Wisconsin, and I went there. We did a couple shows and book signings, and I know you travel around too. And Brian, you know what's great is how great the country is. I mean, I came back on Sunday. I ran in. I did my Sundays with Sinatra show, and I went on the air on AM970 in the morning, like this morning. And I just feel everybody's so nice. It seems like we always I always like your positive attitude, Brian, because they try to divide us, you know. But I love it. I love it. I go meeting people, and yes, I'll do the Frank Sinatra impression. Yes, we'll go do some jokes and we'll sing some tunes, you know. But it's always great to meet people from around this great country. It just pumps me up, my friend, you know. So that's what the book's about. You know, it's a survival story, but it's also about the goodness of this great country. Brian Kilmeade.
I know. I want to play another clip from SNL. They look back at 50 years. Here's Steve Martin talking about. Well, let's listen.
Good evening, and welcome to the 50th anniversary of Saturday Night Live. I'm Steve Martin, Saturday Night Live's newest diversity hire. And what a thrill it is to be here. When I heard that SNL wanted to do an anniversary special, I literally wanted to leap into the air. And the only reason I didn't is because at the time I was wearing a short skirt with no underwear. Now, I can't believe I even made it here in time. It was only a few days ago that Lauren told me I was doing the monologue, and I was actually vacationing on a friend's boat down in the Gulf of Steve Martin, and I finally...
So they're having fun with... I think it's actually a very good sense of humor. That's like less of an attack, more of a nuance to the humor on the 50th anniversary. Were you there?
Yeah, I was. As a matter of fact, I went to we did all year long, and we couldn't talk about it. We did a lot of video, and they said, don't say anything about it. So we did a lot of film. So they brought me in for all the film retrospectives about the music, about the casts. And it really is, it's great. I think it's on Peacock, a lot of the documentaries. And then they said, okay, now you're going to come into the SNL Homecoming special with the music. Jimmy Fallon hosted it, and they had Nirvana was there, and Jack White, and Cher actually stole the show, Brian. I mean, you know, it was like amazing at Radio City Music Hall. And they gave me these great seats right up front, and they put us on camera, and it was great. And as soon as they were treating me so nice, I know that I wasn't going to have 1 second on the SNL 50 broadcast on Sunday night. I just knew it, you know, because
I know.
You know what I mean? I went in, they were treating me too nice, man. I went, and listen, I'm just happy to be there. You know me. I'm a working stiff. Again, is what the book Average Joe is about. Just a journeyman's life in entertainment and loving every second of it. And we went in, but then on the good thing is I took my daughters. So I took Alexandra. They had to decide who wants to go to Radio City, who wants to go to the SNL 50. Allie wanted to go to Radio City, and she saw an incredible show. And then, but I got to tell you, with the divide that we were talking about, I'm walking down the aisle at Radio City after the show, and Allie says, "Dad, there's Tom Hanks." So I say, would you like to meet him? Because I know him from seeing him. I slow my pace walking down the aisle, and I go and I catch Tom's eye. He stopped, Brian, he stops the whole show. Everybody's around him. This was after the show. And he goes, "Joe Piscopo," makes the whole thing. "Joe Piscopo." I said, "Tom, how you doing?" I meet my daughter, another Piscopo. Oh, my God. And Hank says to me, Hank goes, "Joe, no disrespect, but you're starting to look like Frank Sinatra." He goes like that. It was just really, it was funny.
I thought you scared me, Joe, because you know how to the left he is. And I thought he was going to embarrass you in front of your daughters. But he has so much respect for you.
I got to tell you, thank you, Brian. I thought the same exact thing. Could not have been nicer. Paul Rudd's great. Paul and I were born in Passaic, New Jersey. Adam Sandler is just magic, man. And Allie goes, "There's that." And they said, everybody, cut to the SNL 50, if I can, Brian. And I know we know each other long enough, so tell me if I'm talking too much for you, man. But it's like, we went to SNL 50. We go in now. Olivia wants to go to the SNL 50. We go in. And everybody who was there. I saw Eddie. I caught up with Eddie. I gave Eddie Murphy a big hug. And I said, "You know what, Ed, after all these years, thank you for that ride, man. What a wild time." I looked at him. He goes, "Yeah." He goes, I know. And then we were chatting about it. How many kids? Eddie's got 10 kids. I got 2 grandkids. And he was so excited because he just made his last alimony payment. And we could identify with that, you know. I know. Listen, all those years later, and then we go in, and Billy Murray was there. Billy, can I get a picture? So then they don't, and I know I voted for Trump. I make no apologies. I'm a Trump guy, and I'm a conservative. And, of course, so they put us up in the Bob Uecker section, you know, of the bleachers for the show, you know. I walked in. I said, "Oh, I must be in the front row." You know, so they put us up there. And so now we're up there, and it's after the show. And I'm just happy to be there. Rob Schneider's up there. A couple of us are up there. I understand. So after the show, everybody runs to the stage to get on the good nights. I didn't run to the stage. I stayed back, but I did go down later after we went off the air. I walked down. There's Scarlett Johansson. And Colin Jost was so nice to me. "Joe, how are you?" We talked a little bit. I said, "Scarlett, can I have a picture of you and my daughter?" She could not have been more gracious. Jack Nicholson is there. Brian Nicholson. Wow. I said, "Jack, you're a Jersey guy." So, "How you doing, Joe?" You know, it was Jack Nicholson, man. And it was cool. Now, and there's Ryan Reynolds, and Adam Sandler took another picture. Everybody's anybody. Then I feel somebody next to me, and I look, and it's Robert De Niro. Now, to your point, I'm afraid to say anything to Bobby De Niro. Listen, I'm afraid. So I walk away I don't want to get into it. Not now. Not with my daughter here. I walk away. So everybody's nice as nice can be. I went to see Johnny Pinto, the #1 camera guy in Studio 8H. He was legend. I'm more excited to see Johnny than anybody, you know, from Brooklyn after all those years. Walking out of 8H, I'm by myself. I see Olivia's right behind me, and we're about to go to the after party. I look, I'm walking step in step with Robert De Niro again. So I look at him. He looks at me. He says to me, "Hey, Joe, how you doing? How you doing? You all right? You all right? How you doing?" Like that. And I go, "Bobby," I said, "You know, that was very funny what you did with Rachel Dratch. You had to take in the camera. You waited. The beat was perfect, by the way. You're great. Thanks." And he went, "Oh, yeah, thanks. Thank you, Joe. Thank you. I'm waiting, Brian. I'm waiting for him to go after me on the Trump thing. Nothing." And I go like this. I go, "We have a mutual friend. I love the guy. He gives you all the credit for making him who he is. That's very nice. Thank you, Joe. It's very nice. You're doing all right? You're doing all right?" I go, "Yes, sir." Like that. He stops. He looks. We're face to face. It's me and De Niro. He takes his hands. He puts his hands on my arms. He gives me an Italian kiss on the cheek. "Good to see you, Joe. You take care of yourself. Take care of yourself." You hear what I'm saying? That divide is BS, I think. You know, if he doesn't like Trump, and if it is true the way he acts,
it's true.
I don't care. Yeah, but listen, it was all put aside, and I think everybody's got to stop with the crazy, Brian. You're one of the nicest guys in the world, and we love you, man. And that's the way everybody should be, no matter what your politics.
But I'm not crazy. You know. I think Trump is a really good president. I don't think he's perfect.
Absolutely.
Reagan wasn't perfect. Kennedy wasn't perfect. But we call it. We like talking to people about it. We spend all our days reading about it, using our contacts.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, but I don't hate people that don't vote for somebody. But real quick, on average show, what did you discover? Real quick, I only got 90 seconds. What did you discover in you researching your own life and having to reflect on it, and when you wrote the book Average Joe?
I'm a survivor. and you got to survive, and you can reinvent yourself, and you can't enjoy the journey. That's what I discovered. I dig the journey, man. I'm a working stiff entertainer. I ain't no big star. You know what? I'm working. By the grace of God, I'm working, and I'm working in a business that I love. I'm doing radio, love radio, doing stage. We do all facets of entertainment, and I'm working, and it's the journey that I understand. And I'm more grateful now than ever before. I'm surviving.
You always act like you're glad every show is the best and every stage appearance is the best, and your audience gets that. Thanks so much, Joe Piscopo.
This is WHIO Sean Hannity, Dayton's News and Talk, WHIO.
Emergencies strike at any time without warning. When they do, food disappears fast. That's why prepared Americans trust My Patriot Supply, the leader in long-term emergency food storage, to protect their families. For a limited time, order their best-selling 4-week emergency food supply and get 4 free 72-hour food kits. That's 12 extra days of food at no extra cost. That's nearly 2 weeks of extra food, free to keep your family secure. Plus, free shipping. Order by 3 p.m. for same-day shipping. All kits deliver 2,000 calories per day of easy-to-prepare meals with a shelf life up to 25 years. These kits that have been rated 4.8 out of 5 stars by tens of thousands of folks like you. When the next crisis hits, you'll be ready. Stock up now at MyPatriotSupply.com before this deal disappears. Go to MyPatriotSupply.com for your 4-week emergency food supply and 4 free extra food kits. MyPatriotSupply.com.
Greg is a real Prevagen user, and this is his story.
Hi, I'm Greg. I'm not an actor. I'm just a regular person. 8 years ago, I just didn't feel like I was on my game. I started taking Prevagen, and I want people to know that Prevagen has worked for me. Give it a try. I want it to help you just like it has helped me.
Prevagen at stores everywhere without a prescription. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Testimonialist was compensated for their time.
Are you having trouble hearing? Hearing loss can devastate the quality of your life. Now, there's an affordable fix for you or your loved one. Rated in the best hearing aids of 2024 by USA Today, Audion Hearing has the highest quality hearing aids at the lowest prices, just $189.
I actually like them better than my old $5,000 hearing aids.
I could not believe how my hearing and life changed.
Join over 500,000 happy customers by going to audionhearing.com. That's AUDIEN hearing.com.
Now from the WHIO News Center, the 3 big things you need to know. On Capitol Hill, Republicans want to pass a spending bill that would keep the government in business till later this year. The president meets with business leaders today, and 4 people went to a hospital from a crash on I-75 near I-675 today. Full details on these stories and more next scheduled news at 11. Jason Michaels, WHIO Continuing News.
The WHIO call letter still means something in the Miami Valley. The original news legends, Lou M., Don Wayne, Jim Baldridge, Gil Whitney. We are standing on the giants of Dayton radio, and we take their legacy seriously. Nothing is as good as the best local news possible. Serving you in your hometown. It's important to us. WHIO was and is the #1 news station in the region. You're listening to the legendary WHIO. Depend on it. This is a Consumer Warrior Clark Howard Minute.
If you're in college, or let's say you have a kid who's in college or going soon, I want to tell you the hottest thing right now is to go in a college program where you work, not just wherever, but you work in jobs that are in the field of what you're studying, and it lets you stand above the crowd. This is the #1 way for someone to take a college degree and be successful with it after graduating from college. College is so expensive, it's better actually to stretch college to get that degree to 5 or 6 years working while in school, so that when you graduate, you not only have the credential, but you also have experience in the field you want to work in.
Clark is WHIO's Consumer Warrior, and you can hear him during Miami Valley's Morning News on WHIO.
Taxes was feeling so stuck. Sitting in traffic, squeezing into a parking spot, all to squeeze in getting tax help during your lunch break. Now Taxes is a TurboTax expert who does your taxes for you, while you go about your day getting real-time notifications about their progress and the most money back guaranteed. Now this is Taxes. Intuit TurboTax. Get an expert now on TurboTax.com. Only available with TurboTax Live Full Service. Real-time updates only in iOS mobile apps. See guarantee details at turbotax.com/guarantees.
A bit breezy out there this Tuesday afternoon, sunshine and highs in the 70s. I'm Storm Center 7 meteorologist Ryan Morando.
And I'm Jason Michaels in the WHIO News Center. 55 degrees in Dayton at 10:51 on 1290 and 95.7 WHIO.
Now the Brian Kilmeade Show joins Fox Business's Varney and Company with Stuart Varney, live on your radio and on Fox Business. Here's Brian Kilmeade.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm going to go on the air with Stuart Varney on FBN in a matter of moments. We're just also watching more protests today. It looks like there's going to be, in about an hour, there's supposed to be massive college walkouts of classrooms in protest of the Palestinian Syrian that was detained yesterday. A judge says to get a hearing today. Hopefully we'll be able to support the troublemaker once and for all. Also, a short time ago, the Speaker of the House came out and talked about the chances of avoiding a government shutdown and pointed out some of the things Democrats have said in the past about a government shutdown and how it just is bad for the American people if that is in fact the case. When you have a clean CR, continuing resolution to fund the government at current levels, why wouldn't you sign off on it?
Brian, Whoopi Goldberg used transgender TikToker Dylan Mulvaney to defend men playing in women's sports. You got to watch this. Roll it.
If you don't know anything about our bodies, you don't know how it works. So when you come in and you say, oh, you know, these are men, you know, competing against women. You're assuming that the women are weak and just can't do anything except right here. Have you seen female athletes? They know what they're doing. So I'm not sure what's going on or why this is an issue.
Brian, you better come into this because I think most Americans disagree with her on this particular issue.
Stuart, you know that line in Billy Madison, I can't remember it verbatim, but we're all dumber having heard that. I mean, have you ever heard a stupider statement in your life? We don't understand. We understand a women's bodies. Have you seen some women? We've seen women try to compete against men. They can't. That's the way it is in sports, in tennis, in golf, in football, baseball, basketball. So when you put a man who wants to be a woman in a women's sport, he will dominate if he's athletic. And that's the deal. Dylan Mulvaney, who seems to play a woman on TV and write a book about it, she says, listen, I don't know anything about sports, but other people said it should happen. And other people on the Democratic side, when looked at this 80-20 issue, where 8, and I imagine it's higher, of every 10 people looking at us right now know that there's no place for a trans man in women's sports. Yet when Democrats are asked, they go, well, it never happens. Well, it does happen enough. And if it happens to your daughter, where they train and they lose because somebody decides to join in a wrong gender sport, then you will be affected by you. If you get run over in soccer by a trans man, you will know it. And if that's your daughter, I'm pretty sure you're not going to say, well, statistically, it's not likely to happen. It will just continue to happen unless it's stopped. And if Democrats and people like Whoopi Goldberg want to give half-wit comments about why trans men belong in women's sports, have at it.
Yeah, it doesn't work. Let's get more serious here. Protests against Elon Musk have turned violent. Tesla dealerships, charging stations, they've been set on fire. Musk has become public enemy #1. And, Brian, I don't think that's right.
Go to Doge.gov and just take a look at what they're doing. His team of 100 to 200 are going in, looking at contracts, looking at dead checks, making people put their name on checks and an address to where it's heading, making people accountable for what they're spending, reining in the pandemic spending for one reason: not to get more rocket ships in the sky, not to get more tunnels in the ground, not to make more chips in the head or electric cars on the road. He said to Donald Trump, I heard him on his own interview with Trump, I'd love to help you out with the government efficiency. And it was so much worse than he thought. And as he cuts these programs and talks about the bloated federal workforce, now people want to make him enemy #1. And I caution everyone, don't get caught up in what the media is saying, what New York and Los Angeles and Washington say. Outside of that web of disinformation, the American people stand. And I think most people are in his corner. And I think if you're about to buy a car and are thinking electric car, do yourself a favor. Go get a Tesla. Not only are they the best car, but there's charging stations. He didn't ask the government to do it. He did it himself. The other ones you're going to be driving around a little while for because Joe Biden was in charge of that. So if you are looking for a car and you're upset, like many people are, like I am, about the way he's been treated, go get a Tesla.
Brian, hold on. So I've got to get this in. You celebrated Texas Tuesday on Fox and Friends this morning. You seemed hesitant, Brian.
Yes.
But they got you looking like a real Texan by the end of it. Watch this.
Gets to celebrate Texas Tuesday with his first pair of cowboy boots.
Look at my jeans. Here you go.
All right, that looks good, Brian.
All right. Okay, they put it. It would never happen. He put it. This is my version. Lawrence, what do I need to know? I'm an urban cowboy. One hand up.
There we go.
Okay.
All right.
Look at this.
Slowly whip it up.
You looked good, Brian. You tell me, how long did you last on the bull?
Well, what happened is they were very kind to me. The guy just went around in a circle, but I would have lasted 20, 30 minutes because I got incredible balance. I am very natural on wild animals, but unfortunately, we're up against Bill Hemmer and Dana Perino. They wouldn't give me any of their time. Not like you, Stuart. If you were following me, you would have given me a few minutes.
Watch out for those horns, Brian. They can be lethal.
Right.
Brian Kilmeade, everyone. He's a good man. Thank you very much indeed. Still ahead, Jimmy Fallon.
All right, 1-866-408-7669. So we just, what we're doing on, just to explain that a little further, on Fox and Friends, Lawrence Jones, my lovely co-host, is from Texas. He said, let's make it Texas Tuesday, so we wore boots. And then Ainsley and Steve wore boots, and then the whole staff started wearing boots, and then Lexi started wearing boots, and they want me to wear boots. But here's the problem, and I'm wearing jeans right now if you're watching the feed, is that I'm not from Texas. And if I dress like I'm from Texas, I feel inauthentic. So for the last 2 months, I've been holding out on Texas Tuesday, and now people are sending pictures in with their toddlers in Texas, their toddlers in boots, and it got out of control. So today, I was able to put on boots that were probably very expensive boots, and I gave them right back because I should not be wearing boots. I'm from New York. I live on Long Island, and people see me and say, and why is that New Yorker wearing boots? And that's the inauthenticity. We'll have trouble shaking.
I think you're overthinking it.
You think so?
I do. I think a lot of people are wearing the boots. I think also, for men, you only see the bottom part. You're not really seeing the boot part.
But then isn't Trump going all over DeSantis because he was wearing boots to make himself look taller or something?
I mean, he was, but was that true? I mean, does Lawrence need the extra height? I don't think so.
Well, Lawrence from Texas. That matters. You have to, if you're going to fight crime, you need to do it in boots. If you're going to be from Texas, you need to wear boots.
Lawrence fights crime?
Yeah. I'm going to fight crime.
Paid for by Christian Care Ministry.
A lot of times you have to choose between something high quality or something that saves you money. But what if you could get both? Why not? Especially when it comes to health care, and that is MediShare. You get both. Many families save $500 a month with MediShare, and that's huge. But it's also true that people wind up way more satisfied, too. And we know this from research of members. There's a lot they like about MediShare, but especially they love being part of something they believe in. And MediShare works, too. It has for more than 30 years. There are hundreds of thousands of members who love having telehealth if they need it. They love the huge PPO network. So, yeah, really, you can save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care. So if you're self-employed or you're part of the gig economy or you just want a plan you're happy with, you can call right now and get a price in 2 minutes. Here's the number. Call 855-51-BIBLE. That's 855-51-BIBLE. 855-51-BIBLE.
Whatever the weather outside, stay comfortable inside with Tanner Heating and Air Conditioning, where quality and comfort matter the most. Our cost-effective systems for your home or office and planned service will save you some bucks. Bucks. That's right, Sarah bucks. That will keep your wallet happy. Tanner Heating and Air Conditioning, a reliable local family-owned company that always produces great results. This is Sarah Tanner. Call 299-2500 or go to tannerhvac.com to schedule today. Tanner Heating and Air Conditioning, a name you can trust.
I'm Parker Testo with the University of Dayton Sports Update. The Dayton Flyers beat VCU 75-67 in their final regular season game Friday night. Javon Bennett led the Flyers in points.
Back to Bennett for 3. It's good.
Bennett posted a Dayton career-high 22. Also having a night was Malachi Smith.
Malachi for 3. Got it!
Smith notched 13 points. Enoch Cheeks was also in double figures.
It's Cheeks and a monster dunk!
Cheeks dropped 12 points. Coach Grant after the win.
Proud of our guys because we did our part. We took care of what we needed to take care of in these 2 games, and now it's about trying to get prepared and understanding the lessons from the regular season and then putting ourselves in position to go try to win a championship in D.C.
Next time out, Dayton plays in the Atlantic 10 quarterfinals Friday night. Pregame begins at 6:30. Larry Hansgen has the call at 7:30 here on the home of the Flyers. I'm Parker Testo with your University of Dayton Sports Update on 1290 and 95.7 WHIO.
from the WHIO News Center. This is Miami Valley's News at 11. Our top local story, 4 people went to a hospital from a crash on I-75 near I-675 today.
It is warm and sunny out there. I'm Storm Center 7 meteorologist Ryan Mirando. How this warmth could fuel stronger storms in the Storm Center 7 forecast coming up.
Take a look at 75, 76, 75, all looking good. I'm Chris Hartley, WHIO Triple Team Traffic.
These stories and more coming up. I'm Jason Michaels, WHIO News Time, 11 o'clock.
WHIO, Dayton, Springfield. Celebrating our 90th year as the Miami Valley's leading news station. Weather, traffic, and breaking news starts now.
It is our top local story, an early morning rollover crash in Dayton.
We do know that medics took 4 people. We were earlier reporting 3. Now it's up to 4 people to the hospital.
News Center 7's Letitia Perry. It happened on southbound 75 near I-675 just before 3 a.m. The injured include 2 children and 2 adults, and we're working to learn more now. WHIO News Time, 11:01, 61 degrees already in downtown Dayton. President Trump meets with top business leaders and Wall Street execs today as he tries to calm the economy amid recession fears.
So far, Republicans in Congress are overwhelmingly on board with the president's tariff strategy. And for the most part, business leaders who knew this was going to be happening, at least the tariff part, have been with him too.
Fox's Peter Ducey, the leaders of IBM, HP, Intel, and Qualcomm are expected to attend. GOP leadership trying to scrounge up support for the latest spending bill to stop a government shutdown.
House Speaker Mike Johnson is hoping Republicans can muscle the GOP short-term spending bill on their own. They are expected to vote on the bill later this afternoon.
Fox's Madeline Rivera. Johnson says he's confident that measure will pass. We're working now to learn more about a late evening shooting in Dayton last night. Word is a man suffered non-life-threatening injuries in the incident along Whitmore Avenue just past 10:15. Crime scene tape was seen blocking the intersection, and several cruisers were seen there. A neighbor tells us he hopes his security camera can help investigators find the person or persons responsible.
This is WHIO Continuing News.
State troopers have identified the 23-year-old woman killed in a crash in Shelby County this morning. The preliminary investigation showed 23-year-old Vivian Walker of Piqua went off the left side of State Route 66, hit a tree in a ditch around 420. Walker died of her injuries. WHIO News Time, 11:03. The Storm Center 7 forecast is next.
This is the Miami Valley's home for Fox News, the most powerful name in news. WHIO, the 50,000-watt giant of Miami Valley radio. From Lima to Kentucky, Columbus to Indianapolis, the station that cares about every town in between. We love this region as much as you do. Covering weather, traffic, and news is still our #1 priority. Nothing is more important as keeping radio local, in touch with the community, and relevant to you and your family. Welcome to the legendary 1290 and 95.7 WHIO. Depend on it.
For This Week in History, I'm Ron Otto. March 9th, 1959, Barbie makes her debut at the American Toy Fair in New York and will go on to sell over 1 billion units worldwide. March 10th, 1940, Chuck Norris is born in Ryan, Oklahoma.
Because that's where the Rangers gonna be.
March 10th, 1876, Alexander Graham Bell tells his assistant Thomas Watson, "Come here, I want to see you," through his new invention, the telephone. March 15th, 44 BC, the Ides of March. Julius Caesar is stabbed to death by Brutus, Cassius, and several other senators in Rome.
It's too...
WHIO is Dayton's #1 traffic station. We watch it from the air, from the ground, and from your car. Triple Team Traffic with Jake Magnotta is only on 1290 and 95.7 WHIO. Depend on it.
WHIO News Time, 11:05. Now with the Miami Valley's most accurate and dependable forecast, here is Storm Center 7 meteorologist Ryan Mirando.
The sunshine is out there, a little bit breezy, but it is so warm with highs in the 70s today. And we keep our warm stretch tomorrow, too, and really the rest of this work week. Sun and clouds for your Wednesday, starting in the 40s as you're stepping out the door, with highs up near 70, with some clouds mixing here and there. Your Thursday will also have some clouds in place, but back into the 70s Thursday afternoon, with the possibility of a very isolated shower. Winds pick back up on Friday, winds out of the south, so that means highs on Friday afternoon will be in the mid-70s. Then we're tracking a chance for some thunderstorms, even the possibility of some severe weather through the day on Saturday. I'm Storm Center 7 meteorologist Ryan Mirando for Dayton Severe Weather Station, 1290 and 95.7 WHIO.
Live Doppler 7 radar is clear. Currently 58 in Bellefontaine, 59 in Springfield, 61 in downtown Dayton. Our next scheduled news in less than 15 minutes, and immediately when it breaks, Jason Michaels, 1290 and 95.7 WHIO, Dayton's News and Talk. Depend on it.
If news breaks, we break in anytime. Now, back to America's most powerful talk lineup. This is WHIO.
From high atop Fox News headquarters in New York City, the most approachable radio host in America. It's Brian Kilmeade.
Thanks for being here, everybody. It's the Brian Kilmeade Show. A lot going on today. At the bottom of the hour, Jason and Erica Redmond will be with us, the authors of Mission Invincible Marriage. Jason is a veteran. He got wounded in battle, but he is an American hero. He's written a bestseller called The Trident. And now what he and his wife have gotten through as he's gotten back home is in a brand new book. So I hope you guys all check it out. Bhakti Ungar-Sargon is here, an outstanding journalist, author of Second Class. And now you're with Free Press, right?
Yes,
as well as?
I'm with Compact Magazine.
So where do we get your columns? On the Free Press?
Free Press and in Compact, yeah.
All right, so we subscribe to you.
Yeah, sure.
Is that true? Substack. Is that or once you go to the Free Press, you get that?
Yeah, Compact Magazine and the Free Press, and you can find my writings there.
All right, great. So great to see you, Bhakti.
Thank you. Thanks.
Top of the hour, guess what's going to happen? Nationwide protests to salute an activist that was detained and hopefully will be exported right out of our country for his actions on campus. His name is Mahmoud Khalil. And right now, a judge says, hold on a second, we'll have you on trial on Wednesday. But in an homage to him, there's going to be unrest on campuses across the country. How's that going to play?
You know, this is one of those 90-10 issues where most Americans, including a lot of Americans who are very sympathetic to the plight of the Palestinians, are just really disgusted with how these campus protests unfolded. Yep. They really didn't like the harassment. They didn't like the occupation of buildings, trespassing. There were a lot of agitators there who were not students. The encampments, all the stuff that gets in the way of a lot of students who are there to learn. So I think that this is not going to play very well for the Democrats. Now, we have to see, did this guy actually commit crimes? If he was just there speaking, you could have a free speech argument. If he was actually committing crimes, occupying, trespassing illegally, destruction of property, preventing students from getting to class, preventing the dean from accessing the bathroom. I saw a video. If he was involved in any of that, then we have a real case here of somebody who broke the law, who was, I believe, actually, it's been reported that he actually entered the country illegally, overstayed a student visa, and then got a green card and married an American citizen. So it's going to be a really interesting case. I can't believe that there are Democrats out there who never once called for the release of the hostages, the Israeli hostages in Hamas captivity, who are out there demanding the release of this person. But it's going to be a really interesting test case. Yeah.
So we don't hear about the Americans still being held and all the others that have been killed, their bodies being withheld and still in captivity. But we got to make sure that this graduate student who graduated, that should not be on campus housing, can still put a mask over his face and protest. So we understand, too, that part of last week at Barnard College, when they were taking over buildings, they would hand out flyers that said Hamas Media Office, glorifying what they went out and the supporting of terror. And they also had the Al-Aqsa flood as one of their narratives. The Al-Aqsa flood is how the Palestinians and Hamas views the October 7th attack. So they are glorifying that horrible day in history.
Yeah, it's very clear that for a lot of people, especially in these elite campuses, they really are fans of Hamas and Hezbollah. There were flags there and so forth. And again, there are a lot of Americans who feel sympathy for the Palestinians who are not on board with these elitists at these elite universities who are paying $100,000 a year to go to these schools. And what they think they're there to do is to protest and have this literature out there. Now, again, when we're talking about American citizens, they have First Amendment rights to like Hamas and to support Hamas and to say disgusting things about how they support terrorism. That is their First Amendment right. But when you're dealing with somebody who is an immigrant here illegally, they do not have those same rights. They're not covered by those same laws. And when there is material support for terrorism, then of course, this is a felony.
So Marco Rubio was presented with the intelligence on Khalil, a Syrian-born Palestinian who received his graduate degree from Columbia. And he says he's a threat to national security, so he's been detained right now out of state. My sense is it's not just him. But this U.S. District Judge, Jesse Furman, said Khalil is to remain in the U.S. to preserve the court jurisdiction. So we'll see what happens because Trump is going to be relentless. He says this is just the beginning. And I think it's also worthy bringing up that Jeff Lax, who you might know, a professor at City College, conservative, he says that hostages have been talking, saying that they were told by their captors, the ones that are lucky enough to be released, that there's a direct connection between the American protests on American campuses and their cause. They said that they control their goal is to turn the West against Israel and us, and they've infected college campuses. They were bragging about it.
Yeah, it's really horrible when you think about it. And it's not just that these are, young people with absolutely deplorable and disgusting viewpoints. It's that degree is going to ensure them access into the elites and into the American dream in a way that working class people who don't have these fancy degrees, who can't pay $100,000 a year for one of these stupid degrees, cannot. And I think that is what President Trump is actually trying to do right now in the markets, is to reorient the economy of the United States away from what it has been for 50 years, which is an upward funnel of wealth from working class people who work with their hands for a living, into the pockets of those student protesters who are out there with the most despicable points of view. That's what all of the tariffs are about. That's what the immigration controls are about. It is about reorienting the economy to reward hard work and the American working class, and not these godless elites with their despicable views.
So you want to hear some of those despicable views if you're not angry enough? Here's an undergrad, Pearson Lund, cut 5.
Who determines what the illegal protest is? Because all protests are going to be deemed against the state to some extent, or against governments to some extent, so they're always going to be illegal. That's just simply saying all protest is effectively banned, or all protest I don't like is effectively banned.
When you have a protest that affects a religious person going to school, like it's a Jewish person going to school, when you take over a building, when you curse and attack cops, I believe you're opening yourself up to deportation. And I know people that have green cards, they feel like they're walking on eggshells. They know one mistake, a DWI, shoplifting, anything that they do, they know that's it, they're done, they're finished. This is not somebody worried about getting deported.
It's so interesting, Brian. A friend of mine called me. She was very upset because somebody that we both know had been picked up by ICE and was being deported. And she was saying to me, this is so terrible. This is, a law-abiding, lovely person. I happen to know that this is a person who was facing both a DUI and a domestic violence charge, who had hit his wife. She happened to not know that, so she thought this is just a lovely person who's being deported. And I happen to know, just by happenstance, the backstory here of what's actually happening, and the fact that the Democrats are out there defending criminals again. That their heart bleeds for criminals. They are out there, Kathy Hochul saying you're not going to take a single... Tom Homan's rounding up criminals, violent criminals. Why couldn't they just say, you know what? This is something as Americans we can all get behind. No, their heart just bleeds for the criminal element again and again.
But don't you want to follow what's going on, where this money's coming from? How would anyone say to themselves, if you're growing up a New York kid or in Missouri, how do you go, I still feel for the Palestinians. It's so good to feel for the oppressed. Where does that come from? Where does a groundswell of support come from people that you've never met, that you haven't studied the history? You can't decide any of the complex history. It's not something you pick up in a flyer. You have to understand the origin of what happened from World War I to World War II, or a sense of what happened at the Holocaust. How do you end up on the other side of the Holocaust? Here is Senator Josh Hawley, cut 9. He thinks it's time for an investigation.
We should absolutely follow the money, and it ought to be traced all the way back to its source. And this is why I say, Jesse, the left has gotten by with this for years. This is a great project for the Department of Justice, and they ought to look at all of it. Who's funding these attacks? Who's funding the campus protests? Which, by the way, all of these campus protests, they're all organized, they're coordinated, they're funded. We ought to blow the lid off of that as well.
So I would love to see the Department of Justice go pursue that, because we were great at that after 9/11. We're blowing up so many of the foundations who are nesting in our country. We're good at it. We could follow this money.
Yeah, we know that Qatar, for example, gives billions of dollars to American institutions of higher education. Of course, Qatar being the number one supporter of Hamas, big state supporter of terrorism. Joe Biden designated them as a major non-NATO ally in 2021. I don't understand what we got out of that. We certainly didn't get a single hostage released until Donald Trump showed up. And you see those hostages now who were released coming out and saying, thank you, President Trump. I would still be in Hamas captivity if not for you. So we got nothing out of that. I don't understand why we have an airbase in Doha that should be moved immediately to Saudi Arabia in an effort to normalize relations there. We get nothing out of this except the infection of young people with terrorist ideology that comes straight through these universities.
It's so interesting, and it's someone's got to be pursued. Here's CBS, has a totally different take. They have